All right, welcome everybody. This is Matthew Gates in the building, LA, the online source for news and information on the people's projects and policies that are reshaping LA. I'm joined this morning by Danny Carter. Danny is the founder, or I guess the architect of Buy Back the Block LA. How you doing, Danny?
I'm good. What's going on with you, Matthew?
Good, man. No complaints. So Danny has been in real estate for a while now. Started investing in 2013. Started wholesaling in 2017. Before I move forward, just for folks who aren't already familiar, could you just briefly describe, what wholesaling is and how that differs from just traditional investing?
Yeah. So in wholesaling, you're going to be, the job is to try to go out and find properties that are distressed, and you want to get in contact with the owners of those properties and come up with a price that that works for them and that works for you, but also leaves enough room for you to be able to resell that property quickly to an investor who's looking to either keep it as a rental property or flip it.
Okay, got it. And so you started off. I know a few guys who've kind of used wholesaling as their way to get into the industry, right? And maybe it sounds like you almost did it in reverse,
Yeah.
where you started investing first and then kind of used wholesaling as an alternative stream of revenue. Could you just talk about maybe the challenges or why you approached it that way? Or just kind of you just fell into it, or did your strategy kind of evolve over time?
Yeah. So I've been afflicted with shiny object syndrome for a while. So when I
Okay.
first started investing, I hopped in doing flips because I had learned the game from this guy named Juan Pablo on YouTube. And he was talking about how you could use business credit cards to fund your down payment to buy your flips. And all of this seemed very logical to me. So I was like, all right, I can make that play happen. So I ran that play. But then, it's like anything that you immerse yourself in, the rabbit hole is, it goes deep. So the deeper that I kept going into the rabbit hole, the more I found out about, seller financing and wholesaling and all these other strategies. And wholesaling always sounds sexy on the surface. People are like, yeah, I got this property, turned around, made 10 grand, it took me 2 weeks. So, that shiny object syndrome caught me. I said, all right, man, I'm gonna see what's up. And it's funny, I was wholesaling and flipping full time for a minute. And then I ran into a couple projects that were challenges, and wholesaling actually saved my business, man. When those flips could have taken me under, man, wholesaling kept us floating, kept me treading water until I could get out of them. And since then, I've just really kind of focused my business on that. I think mainly because I love the hunt. I love that thrill of finding a property that's cheaper than everything else that's out there.
But it's not as easy as one would think, right?
Nah, man, wholesaling's a grind, man. It's a
Okay.
grind.
So before you sign up, you got to know what you're signing up for. But if you get into it, it is a good way to get into real estate, to start to learn the game with very little like money exposure, right?
Yeah, you have a much lower level of exposure when you first get in because, like, obviously, if you're gonna buy a flip to start, you gotta come up with a lot of money. Even if you're gonna get a loan, you're gonna have to come up with a sizable down payment that could be 10, 15, 20,000 more. All the way up into the 50s or triple digits, depending on the size of the property, right?
Yep.
So with wholesaling, it's different. You could choose to send direct mail out, which is the most expensive way to do marketing, is sending postcards and letters and stuff. You'll be out of maybe $2 or $3 grand a month doing that, but it's a lot of money to some people, but it's a lot lower than what it could be. Or you could do an even cheaper route, which is what we do, and we cold call, and you can set up a cold calling operation for around $1,000 or less.
You're spending about $1,000 a month on cold calling?
So now because my operation has grown, I spend a lot more than that. It costs us about $8 grand a month to run our company now.
Wow.
But it's because we're in multiple markets. We got multiple channels of marketing that we're doing. So it's a different type of operation. But if I had to bootstrap, like let's say everything, crumbled on me and I had to rebuild, I could restart my company in another market, maybe a cheaper market for probably around $1 grand, maybe even I could probably do it for less now that I know the tools that you need,
Got it. And so now Buy Back the Block LA is really, I'll get into the history real quick, but just the premise is you sharing that knowledge that you've gathered over multiple years with folks who are really just interested in getting into the game, right?
Yeah, man. I just like one thing about, it's funny, man. Like I'm not a real big religious dude. I grew up in church, but I'm not a religious person at all. I don't go to church now. But I was in there so long that certain stuff stuck with me. Yep. And I remember people talk about, Jesus was saying that, my people perish for lack of knowledge, right? And that's something that I've looked at our community for a long time, and I'm like, damn, man, if we just knew what we needed to know, we could change the game. There was a point in time when I was running around in the street doing stupid stuff or chasing stupid stuff that wasn't going to end up profiting me in the long run. And once the paradigm got shifted and somebody was like, oh, you can make money doing this, the game changed. My mind opened up. It wasn't because I was stupid. It wasn't because I was ignorant. It was because I didn't have guidance, right?
You didn't know.
I didn't have anybody to package that information for me and give it to me. So once I got it, I feel like, man, we got to give it back to our people and give them an opportunity to be able to use it as well.
Yeah. No, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, because the premise of In the Building LA, like that's kind of why I started it, right? I wanted to create conversations or share information between professionals like yourself and regular folks who maybe have we have a lot of misconceptions or myths built in about just wealth creation in general, especially, but in particular as it relates to real estate finance and those sort of things. And so just wanting to share that information, because you're right, without it, we end up just making a lot of decisions that they don't always serve our best interest, right?
Yeah.
So in June of 2019, you kicked off, it was the first meeting of Buy Back the Block LA. And for those who don't know, at least pre-COVID, Buy Back the Block LA was a kind of a meetup that focused on educating our people about real estate investment and wholesaling and other things we're discussing, that meets once a month at the Metaphor Club in Leimert Park, right? And and so in June of 2019, that was just an idea, right? And so, but you went ahead and moved on it. Can you tell me a little bit about what sparked that, and maybe how you've grown and evolved over the last 10 months to a year now?
Yeah, so what sparked the idea was the passing of Nipsey. We lost Nipsey, and that was it. I just, man, I grew up, like, the person who changed my life was Malcolm X. When I read his autobiography, the way that I saw the world was different. I've never read a book since then that was able to change me the way that book did. And I've seen too many of our people be in positions of leadership and have that light that could guide the community, and then they get snuffed out. So to me, when that happened with Nip, it was just a replay of the same thing, just in a different generation. And I felt like we would be wrong as a community to not take up that torch and run with it. Like, if we, not all of us are warriors, not all of us are scholars, but all of us can do something, right? We all have a role that we play, and we cannot allow our leaders to be taken out and to not continue whatever that vision is. So to me, that was our part of it. I know Nip was passionate about ownership and about generational wealth and passing knowledge around to people who were around him and trying to expand people's minds the way his mind was expanded. So I felt like we could do that through Buy Back the Block. So, it was just an idea. And a bunch of people who I knew through music, because I've been in the music business since I was 19.
Okay.
So a bunch of people that knew me through music, they were the ones who were following my page. My pages was everybody that was following me on IG was primarily music stuff, because everything I was doing in real estate, I was keeping quiet. I wasn't talking about it much. I was just focused on building. So the people who came were people in my music network. They told friends, their friends told friends. And over the years, over the months, we went from that first meeting about maybe like 15, 20 people to now, like, we packing out the Metaphor Club. We don't even have room. We're going to have to find another venue pretty soon.
Okay.
And you talk about, you asked about how we've grown since. We've been able to purchase. So we came together and we talked about one of the founding principles for us is generational wealth and group economics. individually we might not be strong, but together we are. So we brought together a bunch of people who wanted to be investors together, and we all kicked in $3,000. We raised 51 grand, and then we went out of state to one of the markets that I wholesale in Indianapolis, found the property, rehabbed it, and the rehab should be done this week, and it should be listed this time next week. So that's where we are now.
Wow. So not only are you educating, and it's really the theoretical part of bringing folks together to talk about real estate, but you're actually boots on the ground, pulling together money and investing, and it looks like you're about to complete your the first flip, and so now I would assume that the goal is to kind of take that money, build upon it, and continue that process. Is that the game plan?
That's absolutely the game plan. Yeah, we take these seeds, put them in the ground, and just keep watering them until they grow into a redwood, and that's the plan. It's like we keep recycling, keep watering, and get that money to where we need it to be. And that'll give us the punching power we need to start buying things in our neighborhood here in LA, because, it takes a lot of money to play ball here.
Yep. No, that's phenomenal. Talk to me about the trust, right? So one of the I think the things that tends to hold us back when we talk about group economics is just cultivating trust with each other, right? And that I can kick up my $3,000 and know that I'm not going to have to hunt you down in some bar in Memphis 6 months from now to get my money back, right? So like, just talk to me about like what it is about the way y'all operate that you think lends itself to creating an environment where folks are really all on board and willing to commit to a collaborative approach to building wealth.
Man, you know what? That's a good question, and I think the people who are better suited to answer that question are probably the people who invested. Because I don't know. I'm just sitting here with a vision, right? But I don't know what activated those people. I just know that for me, everything that I've always done has been rooted in being real first. And I would never take the community's trust lightly. And I think people kind of get that, like they kind of get that from me. That it's like, I don't mince words when it comes to Black empowerment. I'm not tiptoeing around nobody. This is what it is. And if you don't like it, there's other groups for you to be a part of. But sure, this is what it is, and this is what I'll take seriously. And I think maybe some of that might have, gotten to come across when I was explaining what the vision was. And maybe that's what caused people to buy in. I don't know. I think it's probably beyond me. It's probably really that people are at a point really in history where Black people are starting to realize like, hey man, we got to do something, because, I got a little bit, you got a little bit, and we ain't got to agree on everything, but if we can agree on a couple of key principles, we can put that little bit together, and now we got a little machine that we can push forward with. Yeah.
No, I think you're spot on with that. And the reality is, Nipsey's passing, I think came at a time when people were already receptive to the idea of something different, like a different approach. But coming out of that, I've seen like a real activation of energy in terms of not just our community here in South LA and Inglewood, but across the country. And you can really feel it like on Instagram and other social media platforms, where there is a ton of momentum around changing the financial condition of the community and really doing it ourselves, right? And understand like the days of waiting for somebody else to come in and change it, like one, that's dead. And two, if you really want it to look like how you want it to look like at the end of the process, you have to get involved at the beginning of the process and take ownership and control, right? Yeah. And so one of the things that, I've been to a couple of the meetings, and one of the things that I've observed is you have, tax accountants that you've personally worked with over the 5 or 6 years that you've been in real estate, coming and sharing information. You have mortgage consultants that you've personally worked with, credit officers and credit repair folks who you've personally worked with, that you vouch for, that come and then share that information with folks in the community. And so you really have created a space, kind of an incubator of sorts, where it's set up to educate and guide people from all different levels of experience. And I really wanted to make sure that we drove that point home, because a lot of times we think, well, you know, they've been doing it for a year. They got this group, it's kind of set in stone. Or these folks, you know, Danny's been doing this for 5 or 6 years, and maybe Matthew has an idea of real estate because of his professional background. So that's not really the space for me, right? And I think what you're really trying to get folks to understand is, no, Buy Back the Block LA is a home for everybody, regardless of where you're at, because it's really a space built on sharing knowledge, right?
Yeah, man. I thank you so much too for saying that, because I didn't think about that, but I think that's something that we got to drive home to people is, man, like, you're welcome. No matter what your education level is in real estate or what it's not, you should be there, because we got, like you said, people who have been in it. I mean, I'm still a puppy in it. When you compare people who've been in real estate so long, they've been through 3 or 4 market cycles and all that. Yeah. So I'm still a puppy in it. We got people in there who are developing properties. We got people that are building stuff from ground up, people who are doing flips in LA. And then we got people who have never heard of the FHA loan, never heard of how to get pre-approved to buy a house, didn't know about programs that are out there to help you. So we got people from both ends of the spectrum, and everybody comes together to help educate. You know, there's no stupid questions. You could ask any question you want. Nobody in that room is gonna laugh at you, because we all have been in that seat before, and we're like, okay, you trying to figure it out, so let's help push you down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think that's outstanding, and that's the vibe that I got when I was there, and so I just wanted to make sure that we stress that. So for folks who, so you're about to wrap up completion on the rehab phase of your current holding in Indianapolis. Then you're going to put it on the market, and then take that capital and hopefully reinvest it and continue to build it until you can get to a point where you're investing here in South LA. Is there, for folks who weren't a part of that initial capital raise, is there going to be an opportunity moving forward in the next month or two for them to go ahead and invest in with the rest of the folks at Buy Back the Block LA?
Yeah, so we're going to do another opportunity for people to come together and work together this summer.
Okay.
And it won't be a part of the first one, because once we structure that LLC, everybody's an equal partner in the company. So we all have an equal share because we all brought an equal amount. We all have an equal vote. So, you know, if I want, it's not what I want, it's the group, right? So if there's a project that I bring and I'm like, hey, 123 Main Street is for sale, you know, I think we can make this much on it if we rehab it. What do you guys think? If the vote if I want it personally, I'm like, I think it's a good project, but the vote goes the other way, then it goes the other way. You know, that's just how it is. So
it's not a top-down structure.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's very democratic, you know, so we give everybody a vote and a say. And that's how the next one will be as well. Whoever joins the next raise, it's not, I don't want to call it a raise. It's a bunch of people coming together, combining their resources. You know, it's not like we're going out soliciting like, hey, you know, come buy shares in this company. We're not doing that. It's just a bunch of people who are saying, hey, we just want to put our money together because we think we can move faster together than we can running solo. Yeah. So what do you think? And if you're like, yeah, I think it can work, then yeah, you're welcome, man. Come on in and let's figure it out. So sometime this summer, we're going to repeat the process and go back at it again. Okay.
And for folks who are interested, how can they get in contact with you or be a part of the meetings? I know you guys are kind of in a virtual space, and with everything in the COVID era, you know, it disrupts kind of the normal way that we were doing things. Yeah. How can folks best contact you?
Yeah, so people can reach us. Just head over to the website, buybacktheblockla.com. And if you don't know anything about real estate, this is your first time around, we have a free real estate investor handbook. You know, it's a starter guide, and it takes you from not knowing anything to getting you crawling, to getting you walking and jogging and running. So, you know, it's something that we probably could have charged a couple $100 for because of the terminology and how much time it took to put into it, and we're giving it away for free. So I would tell anybody who's interested, start there with the handbook, then follow us on IG at Buy Back the Block LA. Join our Facebook group, and then that way you'll be in the loop for every single meeting we have going forward. You'll know what's going on and what we're
There
doing.
you have it. Danny, I appreciate your time. Once again, this is Matthew Gates with In the Building LA. Feel free to follow us at In the Building LA on Instagram, or check out our website at www.inthebuildingla.com.